In this video, I want to talk about the issue of multiple time frame analysis. You know, the Ichimoku clouds were created to work primarily on a daily chart, but what's interesting about the Ichimoku clouds is we can actually take them and apply them to a smaller time frame, and we can even work with those time frames together. So in this video chunk, I want to talk about multiple time frame analysis and how we can blend these concepts of Ichimoku clouds with the multiple time frames. First, let's talk about Charles Dow. You know, the whole concept of multiple time frame analysis really is a boiling down of the concepts of this key principle of Dow theory, where Charles Dow says that trends have three levels of the trend. Now, what are those three levels? It's the primary, the intermediate, and the minor level of the trend. And at any given time, stocks have these multiple levels of trends that are taking place. What's difficult is sometimes to identify that trend. Where the multiple time frame analysis comes in is when you zoom in to a smaller time frame or you zoom up to a larger time frame, you can often see that picture, a little more clear picture of that primary trend on the multiple time frame, which looks like either the primary, the intermediate, or the minor level of the move. So let's look at these really fast. With the three levels of the trend, the primary trend is going to be the major trend. This is going to be an extensive up or down movement. Usually it's a year or more, and it's typically going to result in a move of 20% or more of the preceding trend. Whatever that trend was. So more often than not. Now, if you go down to the intermediate level trend, the intermediate level trend is going to work with the primary trend. Look at the picture here. You see how the intermediate trend is working with the primary trend, not fighting it. Sometimes, however, it's going with the trend. Sometimes it's going the opposite direction, but it's working with the primary trend. These are going to be reactionary moves that occur during a primary trend. Reactionary moves during the primary trend. They're shorter term, and on a daily chart, they're usually going to represent weeks or maybe a few months of time frame on that chart. And then finally, the minor level trend is going to be essentially the same thing to the intermediate move that the intermediate is to the primary. It's shorter reactionary moves to the intermediate level trend. They're small moves on a daily chart. They're typically going to last for days, maybe up to a couple of 2 or 3 weeks. But these are the minor level trends. And sometimes they are going with the intermediate trend. Sometimes they're going the opposite direction of the intermediate trend. But it's those minor level moves that really confuse people. You know, people can look and understand the primary trend quite easily. They can even understand and appreciate the intermediate trend, but it's the day-to-day movement that really makes up that minor level trend that really confuses people. Well, multiple time frame analysis can really help us clarify what's going on there and maybe get a little bit more clear. So let me help you out here. Take this chart here that you see of the Euro-US dollar, and all I need to do is draw a trend line here, and you can see this is a big picture primary trend. This is moving from August 2012 all the way into the beginning of 2013. Now watch what I do next. Next I'm going to draw an up line and a down line, and boom, there's your intermediate trend. Now, the intermediate trend makes a little bit more sense. Stocks don't go straight up. Currencies don't go straight up or straight down. They typically oscillate up and down. But they don't even go up and down like the intermediate line. Instead, they typically look more like this pink line. There's your minor level trend. So what you see here is you see these three trends working together. And you see how that's that minor level move, that little day-to-day noise that's happening that tends to confuse people and tends to, make people set their stops too tight or blah, blah, blah. This is going to be a challenge on every time frame that you trade. If you're trading a daily chart, it's a challenge. If you're trading a 5-minute chart, it's a challenge. Every time frame is going to have the same issues. The primary trend is obvious, the intermediate trend is pretty obvious, and the minor level trend confuses the crap out of you. So what we're going to do in the next video is we're going to start breaking these down, and I'm going to show you how you can use different time frames to clean it all up and maybe get a better clarified picture.